without so many of their best players. And so, Ryan Clark, I would ask you, as one who knows this rivalry and lived it, I've heard a lot of people ask this question: should this game be played tomorrow?
Absolutely. If the protocols are followed, if the NFL and the Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers can ensure that no one else will be put in further risk of contracting COVID-19, then you absolutely should play the game, because that's 2020. That's the decision that the NFL made when it decided to sign this CBA that said that these games could be played if X, Y, and Z were followed. The same way the Denver Broncos had to play the game without quarterbacks because protocol needed to be followed. It was, and that's how the game would ensue. And so if the Baltimore Ravens can field the team, if the Baltimore Ravens have enough people, if it won't in any way infect or if it won't in any way put the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Baltimore Ravens in harm's way, this game needs to take place. People need to get paid, and that's what we'll see happen.
Let me, by the way, read to you a tweet from our colleague Adam Schefter just moments ago. He tweeted this: the NFL canceled the Ravens practice scheduled this morning per league source. The Ravens last practiced the Saturday before the Titans game. They are currently scheduled to play in Pittsburgh on Tuesday night, and their travel plans are in flux, with snow forecasted for Pittsburgh on Tuesday morning. So candidly, things couldn't get any more complicated than they are as of now. The game is still scheduled to be played. We'll leave it there. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time on it. And Dan Orlovsky, you guys were yelling at each other a little bit earlier about that Tampa offense. Why don't you show us what you want us to know?
Yeah, Greeny, so you've heard the saying, it takes a village when it comes to being a parent to raise a kid. When it comes to handling the blitz, I look at it the same way. It takes a village as an offense. It's not just the quarterback. It takes the offensive line, the receivers, and the backs to see it the same way. Okay, first of all, first quarter, 3rd and 3. This is an advantageous situation. You feel great as an offense. Now, a couple things to point out to start. This is Antonio Brown. Okay, so the handling of the pressure, the teaching needs to be at an extremely high level so he sees it the same way. Starting with empty protection, only 5 offensive linemen. Their number one rule, take care of the first 4, the individual 4 defensive linemen. The second rule is this: always protect the inside. You always want to protect the most dangerous, the internal, and force the outside guys, the furthest from the quarterback, to have to run to the quarterback so the ball can get out of his hands. So what happens is these linebackers walk up. Once that linebacker walks up, the protection is off, right? You've got to take care of the inside. They're going to squeeze. That's going to leave this defensive end unblocked. That is absolutely correct. Now what happens is this. This is why it takes everybody. Antonio Brown, I want to come to this side. Antonio Brown is running a rail route. Okay, his rail route looks like this naturally to begin with. But it's man coverage, and the guy covering him, the drop-down safety, Tyrann Mathieu, is too close. The adjustment needs to be this, Antonio Brown. You need to get wider, because if you're wider, that ball's going to get thrown right there. You're the hot answer. You're the guy we got to get that ball to, and you keep distance from that drop-down safety. That doesn't happen. And that's a wasted play on 3rd and 3. Now let's go to another look, okay? I'm going to go to the other side again. Another look. This is the interception. You got 5-man protection again, 4 defensive guys. Tom Brady's going to send these 3 front side. That means these backside 2, offensive guard and tackle. You've got the most 2 dangerous of the 3. Now that linebacker blitzes, that's fine. He's unblocked. Tom Brady knows it. Let's bring our vision to that safety. Mike Evans as a slot receiver. If that safety comes down, you should go to the flat right now. Easy option. If that safety hangs high in a too high shell, look at the soft spot. You should be picking and popping right here into that soft area. That's what Tom Brady's expecting. All that vacated space, because this linebacker is actually dropping out. But Mike Evans runs that slant. There's a very muddy picture right here. This ball's going to pop off that defensive tackle's head. Ball goes in the air. Interception. Listen, it takes everybody to handle pressure. Tom Brady in the last 3 years in the NFL led the league in touchdowns against blitz. 26 touchdown passes. This year, handling pressure, he's got 0 touchdowns and 5 picks. Everybody in that offense, including the plan, needs to be better.
That's so well done. And actually, on the telecast of the game yesterday, you saw him going over to Evans, and they were having a conversation about that right after that play. But Rex, we've talked a lot about the Tampa offense and their struggles, but you had a problem with the way they played or coached defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they let Tyreek Hill beat them. And there's not a guy in the NFL that can run with Tyreek Hill. Nobody can cover him. And for you to sit back and just play man coverage down after down after down is absolutely absurd. I get it, Todd Bowles, that's what you do. And against lesser opponents, it's effective. But this is not a lesser opponent. you've got to do something different. And what I would have done and what everybody should do is roll their coverage to Tyreek Hill. Roll your zone coverage to him. If you're going to play man, you better have a safety on top. So to me, it was I really had a problem with their defensive plan.
Well, I've got a safety on top, and that's Ryan Clark. And so, RC, look, I mean, let's give them their due. The Chiefs, I think we almost take them for granted. They're so spectacular. They put up one of the biggest days we've ever seen yesterday, and we're yelling at each other over Tampa all morning long, which is what do you want to say today about what we saw from Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and all those guys?
But isn't that what happens, though, Greeny? You know, like we're yelling about Tom Brady because we understood what they were standing across the field from. We understood what was on the other sideline. And the reason Tom Brady has on his soccer dad hat and has his grandma hand on his hip when he's talking to Mike Evans is because he understands that they need to score points. And that's the type of pressure that Patrick Mahomes and Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid put on you, especially in these big games. They understand the moments. They rise to the occasion and they play their best ball when it's most needed. And we saw that from the beginning of the game yesterday, and it finished with Patrick Mahomes making the plays he needed late to get his team to the kneel down.
Yeah, so Dan Orlovsky, at this point, does Patrick, oh, you know what, we'll get to that in a minute, because the question is Patrick Mahomes the MVP of the league right this minute, or is it Aaron Rodgers? Let's take a look at how he finished up the Sunday in the National Football League with Rodgers at home against the team that he dominates, the Chicago Bears at Lambeau Field. First Packers drive. Rex, look at the time Rodgers has.
Oh, my gosh. Greeny, this is not exactly the 85 Bears rushing the passer.
Rodgers finding Devontae Adams. It's 6-0 after they missed the extra point. Then we're coming down the other way, and Dan, it's Mercedes Lewis.
Call. Mercedes Lewis just blocks for 1 second, gets the defense to commit to the run, and then sheds his block for an easy touchdown. And then this is just great confusion. You snap the ball with the motion. Lazard becomes uncovered. It's a great job by Rodgers, kind of fading in that pocket, finding him uncovered middle of the end zone. Another touchdown for Green Bay.
Packers leading at 20-3. Meanwhile, Mitchell Trubisky getting his first start since week 3. Here's 3rd and 17. And okay, that's not what we had in mind. Preston Smith, scoop, score. Trubisky not happy. No one in Chicago happy. 27-3 Green Bay before the half. It's 27-10 in the third quarter. And Trubisky, Dan, throws this one into a team meeting.
Yeah, don't assume what's going to happen after the snap. The safety dropped down. The in route's wide open. He just predetermined I was going to throw that ball no matter what. Equals the pick, and I love the Packers come out aggressive. Play action fake, you lean the tight end on the corner route, cross the safety's fade across the field for a touchdown. A great route by Tunyon. Awesome play call, beautiful throw by Aaron Rodgers.
Rodgers goes over 50,000 passing yards, not in this game, but for his career. Threw 4 touchdowns on the night, and the Packers wind up winning it by a score of 41-25. I'll steal that one from our friend Kenny Mayne. Not in this game, that would be a record. Okay, so same question that I had for you before, RC. What do we say about these Packers? Like, it does feel when they are cooking, and you know a little bit about facing Aaron Rodgers in the biggest of games. When they are cooking, that offense still looks awfully good. What do you see from them right this minute?
Absolutely. Listen, when they're cooking and when Aaron Rodgers has a clean pocket like he had last night, not hit on any of his drop backs, he's going to go crazy on you. And that's what we saw. We saw him pinpoint accurate down the field. There were actually some drops by Devontae Adams that could have made this even worse than it seemed on the scoreboard. But I'm not going to rush and say that the Green Bay Packers are that team because we know the formula. We saw what the Colts could do with the run game and a little bit of pressure. We saw what the Minnesota Vikings were able to do with the run game and a little bit of pressure in the second half. And obviously we know what Tampa Bay did to this team. Let's not forget, this team was 13-3 last year. And yes, it looks different. Aaron Rodgers is better. Matt LaFleur is doing better as the play caller. There seems to be more chemistry there, but everything has to hit right for this team to be at their best. And so we'll watch this team continue to go farther because we can't look at a game against the Chicago Bears, which are Bears that are rolling around in skunk stink, to think that the Green Bay Packers have arrived. Let's watch this happen throughout the end of the season. Let's see if they can start to stop the run because that's what it's going to take for this team to be as good as they can possibly be.
Well, on the other side, Dan, I mean, the Green Bay Packers, as RC just said, are a defense we've seen give up a lot this year. And so now back comes Trubisky. What did you see from the Chicago quarterback?
I mean, he looked like a guy that hadn't played in a long time. He also looked like a guy that was out there trying to prove, I should have never been sat and I should have continued to be our starting quarterback. Listen, this needs a complete reboot. I've been somebody that, said, are they using Mitchell Trubisky the right way or the best way? And I still don't think they are. But at some point, Mitchell Trubisky needs to understand and valuing the football is paramount. He's got to throw the ball much better. And so this has been a failure when it comes to the draft pick. I think it's going to cost Matt Nagy his job, potentially their general manager, Ryan Pace, and Mitchell Trubisky probably a new home.
And so then, Rex, that's the offensive side of the ball. How about the defense? The Bears are supposed to be one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, that's what blows me away. And if they were, they would have responded a lot differently yesterday. But you just gave up almost 200 yards rushing to the Green Bay Packers. Greeny, you talked about Aaron Rodgers threw 4 touchdown passes. And you gave up 200 yards rushing. Like, this is amazing. And that's why, you know, I'm not surprised at Dan saying that maybe Nagy gets the boot after this. But here's the thing that I am shocked with about this game. The Bears averaged 7 yards a carry. They're